Good morning, happy holidays, and welcome to DTC Wine Workshops case study number 6 on the ROI of mobile point of sale, featuring Gloria Ferrer. Welcome, Geraldine and Zach.
Hi,
Hello, thank you.
Yes, thanks so much for joining me this morning. Geraldine is the VP of HR and Retail Operations at Gloria Ferrer. And we also have Zach, who is the technical guru, I understand, there at Gloria Ferrer. Welcome.
Thank you.
Let's go ahead and take some time to uncover the true ROI of mobile point of sale. And I know that you underwent a full-on implementation of Vin65's mobile point of sale here this past year. So I'm really excited to dig deep into how that came about. And so let's begin at the beginning and understand what your top priorities were in going with mobile point of sale.
Sure, great. Well, we were planning to do a visitor center remodel, and the plan was to reopen in May. As we went through that process, we were evaluating different systems, and while we did that study, we went to the DTC conference last January and had the pleasure to listen to one of the speakers from William Chris, and he had me sold when he said that he was able to sell wine at the airport. So immediately after that, we reached out to Vin65, who already was a partner in the e-commerce platform, and we engaged to start the process of the mobile POS.
Excellent. So let's talk a little bit about what the evaluation process looked like. You know, which members of your team were part of that evaluation process, as well as the Vin65 team. Can you walk us through that?
Sure. Our first priority was to gain efficiencies with our team and to enhance the customer experience. And so with that, we engaged key players from both sides. Vin65 came with their developers, Jason, Carson, and Andrew, for example. And on our side, we had our tasting room managers, our wine club manager, and our controller, as well as Zach, of course, to make sure that we were capturing all the important facets of processes and data that we needed to ensure the system could be put together.
Okay, great. So it sounds like you took some time, due diligence to really go through system capabilities, make sure that both teams worked collaboratively to understand best practices and really requirements for improving customer service at Gloria Ferrer.
Yes.
So Zach, I know that you were a pretty integral part of helping the team get started. You've also helped roll out the training of mobile point of sale there. Can you tell me when you went live with mobile point of sale?
So mobile point of sale went live on May 2nd when we opened our new tasting room. And in the weeks leading up to May 2nd, we knew that was a very important date. We had a wedding on the date, for example, that we knew we had to be open and ready for. And so in the weeks leading up to that, we prepared procedures and made sure all of our ducks were in a row, so to speak, in terms of product setup and the way that we could sign people up for the club and that kind of thing. So we did some training sessions in the few weeks leading up to May 2nd when we officially launched.
Okay, great. So it sounds like you did some internal training first, kind of in a sandbox environment. Is that correct?
Yes, that was it was pretty important for us to be able to. So like Geraldine mentioned, we used e-commerce and that was live, and so we didn't want to kind of muddy the waters for e-commerce and by putting in a bunch of test orders there. So it was very necessary for us to have that kind of sandbox test environment.
Okay, great. So how many iPads did you go live with?
20. We have 20 iPad Mini 3s, and they working very well. We got the charging station for them, and every server uses them when they're out on the floor.
Oh, great. So it sounds like you fully committed right out of the gate.
Yes. We were planning for kind of the busiest Saturday summer day, and so we knew that we weren't necessarily going to start using all 20 iPads on the first day that we launched on May 2nd. I can't remember, was that a Monday? Probably a Monday. We weren't going to use 20 iPads on a Monday, but we knew that we were going to need a lot more devices than that for our busiest days. So we were planning for that.
Okay, so let's talk about the training aspect of going from, an old school traditional cash register environment to now having these wonderful mobile point of sale iPads. If you could walk us through, maybe Geraldine, we'll start with you. What was entailed? How did you ensure that this transition would run smoothly there with your team?
Well, again, I think it was making sure that the key players from the operational team understood the system. I also wanted to make sure that they understood the capabilities of the system and why we were making this investment. Connect the dots, if you will, for everybody involved, and then making sure that we had scheduled out enough time to help them use the system offline before going live.
Mm-hmm. And I know that you have some unique requirements there where you have also restaurant features. So it's not just the traditional tasting room bar ringing up tasting room sales and tastings and so forth. So can you tell me how you went about building in some customizations to meet those needs?
Sure. So while we were in the development stage, again, to gain the efficiencies, we were looking to make sure that the system could allow the wine educator to use the mobile iPad and send the orders through to the bar, to the kitchen, and therefore they can maintain that consistency with the customer and provide, the customer experience that we really want to ensure with our guests. And so that has allowed us to increase our contacts, if you will, increase the sell-through rate as well. And those were key points in terms of making this investment.
Okay, great. And it's really refreshing for me to understand how Vin65 really teams up with a winery client of your environment to ensure that they understand really the true need from a business perspective in rolling out 20 mobile point of sale solutions. And so hearing about the customizations that were necessary for you to really make this successful, they stepped up as a technology partner and helped design a solution that went above and beyond just the out-of-the-box features. So great to hear that story.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, let's get to the nitty-gritty. Let's get to the true return on investment of going with mobile point of sale. I know you mentioned William Chris Vineyards there in Texas. I supported them with their go live actually over a year ago now, and they went from 8 iPads to now over 20 as well. And so they, within their first 6 months, saw a pretty strong return on investment. So I'm excited to hear from you how things are going.
Well, great. So we have, one of the key factors, as I mentioned, was increasing our contact database. That contact database is very valuable, as you know, because the goal is to invite a customer back, to re-engage with a customer and get them to be brand loyalists. And so we have, in the last 6 months alone, increased our database by 50%. And 70% of those are coming from POS. So we see that as a great success. We also have increased our average transaction, which is also really important. And the average transaction now has become like 2 per guest, 2 bottles per guest. And then one of the great stories that I recently heard from last week was we had a group that came to do a Bubbles and Bites experience. And there were 10 of them. 5 of those became club members. And there were a total of 27 bottles purchased from that experience. I think that's a great success.
That's an awesome success. So not only are you seeing a 50% uptick in quality contacts being added to your database, but now the fact that you had 27 bottles sold at a group tasting is absolutely phenomenal. In that setting, you had 10 guests. How many of them also converted to club members? 5
club members out of the 10. Mm-hmm.
Incredible. Wonderful. Yeah. I'm sure it's a combination of great customer service and staffing on your end, but also having the mobile point of sale, like you touched on earlier, being able to be a part of that process from the moment that you greet guests to how they're served throughout their visit to the closing activities. I know with William Chris, the ability to check out large groups also where they're sitting, not having to fight back through the tasting room bar to complete the transaction is just such a wonderful experience. So glad to hear that you're truly maximizing the use of mobile point of sale. As we wrap up, a few more questions for you. From an employee perspective, I always, from a business side of things, it sounds wonderful that you've solved a couple of problems. One, you've improved guest experiences. Two, you've been able to increase your ROI. But I also like to hear from the employee perspective. What is their experience using mobile point of sale? So can you share with us a little bit of feedback that you've received there?
Sure. So it wasn't very difficult to switch over from our old system to our new system because iOS devices are so pervasive in society today. It was pretty intuitive for those guys to pick up a lot of the stuff that Vin65 does, the way that they do, the way that they lay out their menus and such. And so there were some employees that needed a little more help to get to up to the level that we needed them to be to work in the tasting room. But overall, it was a very, very easy kind of switch over from the old system to the new system because they saw the benefits right away. They saw the continuity of service and they saw the ease of sending orders to the bar. There's no more running paper tickets and losing those kind of paper tickets that they're tickets to the bar and that kind of thing. So from that perspective, they kind of embraced it, and there's always still more work to be done, but it went very well.
Excellent. So Zach, had you used mobile point of sale in your previous jobs?
I have not in my previous jobs, and I don't think very many people that we trained on Vin65 had used them either. We kind of had to switch away from having one station, one register where you have to go and kind of stand in line to take care of all of your tickets and your tabs and things. And now everybody's pretty autonomous. There is still one centralized cash box, but other than that, you can handle all of your transactions all by yourself.
No more long lines.
No more long lines.
Love that. I love that. And I cannot wait to get out to the Bubbles and Bites experience there at Gloria Ferrer with a group of friends and enjoy this excellent experience that you're offering. So let's go ahead and wrap up in today's case study. And I would just really enjoy hearing some words of wisdom from each of you. Any winery looking to add mobile point of sale to their environment, what would you say to them? What would the words of wisdom look like?
Well, I was pretty nervous when I was putting together the purchase order for all the technology that we knew we had to invest in to get this project off the ground. So what my words of advice would be is to plan big, plan for the busy days. Don't try to incrementally add stuff to your system just to get it all ready right in the beginning and put that big purchase order out there. Your finance department can yell at you about that later, but they'll be thankful when they see the return on the investment.
Mm-hmm. Great.
Yeah, I would say that with anything in this vein, you definitely want to have a big vision. Think about the things that you are missing, perhaps, the areas that you need improvement in, and just put a wish list together in terms of what your business should look like in the future. For us, we were pretty clear. We wanted to stop that running around. We wanted to provide a better guest experience so that people weren't waiting in line. That was a common complaint that we would get, or waiting too long to be served, etc. And so quickly we put together those objectives, and we've realized those dreams.
Here we go. As we wrap up today, I just want to thank you both again for taking some time out to share with me the true ROI of using Vin65's mobile point of sale to grow direct wine sales, but also to improve customer service. And so some things that you've revealed today are just quite impressive. One, a 50% growth in your database contacts, and these are quality contacts that have really enjoyed their experiences there at Gloria Ferrer since May. And then 70% of that directly coming from your point of sale. In addition, large group sit-down tastings, the ability to really dazzle from beginning to end has resulted in a group of 10 at a purchase rate of 27 bottles and conversion to club rate of half of those guests, which I just think is incredible. So Again, Geraldine, Zach, thank you so much for your time today.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you, Sandra. I look forward to seeing everybody soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.